Hi, my name is Brad Foreman. I'm the eldest member of our climbing group today, and I'm here with my son, Hunter Foreman, and he is the youngest client.
25 years young.
Anyhow, I started climbing back in Boy Scouts, is when I got interested in upstate New York and hiking in the Adirondacks. The highest peak in the Adirondacks is Mount Marcy, a whopping 4,000 feet above sea level. And from there, went out west and started climbing in Colorado, and I've been a part of a climbing group for about 30 plus years, and each year we take 1 or 2 trips around the world to different locations.
Nice.
This year, one of the members of my climbing group is with myself and joining my son Hunter and I. Hunter, when did you first start?
I vividly remember my first 14er in Colorado. I was in 3rd grade, so I was 8 years old, and it was Blanca Peak. My dad took me up there with his climbing group that he had just talked about, and basically once I had summited that mountain, it was all downhill, or more so uphill from there.
Oh, I got to tell one story about that, though. So Hunter was about that tall at the time.
Yeah,
My climbing
8 years old.
buddies, this is the first time Hunter joined us, and they were a little skeptical because, we don't let new people into the group very often. But I said, oh, Hunter can do it. And so we're climbing, and we're about, 200, the peak is totally engulfed in thick clouds. And Hunter looks at me and goes, Dad, I'm done. I can't do it. And I said, Hunter, you just don't know. The summit could be right next door. It could be another couple steps. Let's just go up a little bit further. And wouldn't you know it, we walked up 3-4 minutes, and bam, the sun came out, and what?
And there was a summit.
It was like storybook.
Uh-huh.
And all my buddies were just like laughing. They couldn't believe an 8-year-old made it up Blanca. Anyhow,
Yeah.
so what'd you do after Blanca?
Let's see, after Blanca, a bunch of 14ers after that, and then first big one was Kilimanjaro.
Oh,
Did that when I was 15 years old, so after my freshman year of high school. Then summer after that, we went over to Asia, did Mount Fuji in Japan and Mount Snow in Taiwan.
Those were great.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a fun trip. Let's see, when I was in college, we did Mount Toubkal in Morocco. That was an epic trip.
Let me step back for a second. Do you remember? Really funny story. So Hunter and I were over in Africa for Kili, and we got 3/4 the way up, and we had paid for and scheduled with Zara tours to climb the normal route. Well, we got right
On Kilimanjaro.
on Kilimanjaro, and right before we had the turn, I looked at the guide and said, hey, we need to call an audible. We don't want to climb the normal route. We want to do the Western Buttress.
No.
Oh, no, the Western Breach. Yeah. So the guy goes, no, that's closed. Cannot.
Closed for the past 7 odd years because the last group that had actually climbed on it had gotten caught in a rock slide and they had all died.
Exactly. So we had to call into the owner of Zara Tours, and so we told her, well, we'll just go up it alone. And she goes, no, we can't let a client do that. So they ended up coming with us, and we did the Western Breach, and we could actually see down in the rocks some of the gear from the
Tattered
people.
clothing, the
Had been
like
buried.
smashed water bottles.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy.
So let's
Crazy fun.
Let's get on to this trip. When did we think about? It was probably.
Well, I'd say let's backstep. Last year was we did
Oh, yeah,
Elbrus. We went over to
Russia.
Russia. Elbrus is the tallest mountain in Europe, but happens to be in Russia, the westernmost part of Russia. And we did it, my dad and I, and then Chris Kewing, and his son Chris. Chris is actually on our trip now. His son couldn't make it because he's got an internship. Missing him a bunch, but it was really cool because we summited Elbrus on Father's Day.
Yeah.
And 2 days ago, or 4 days ago, we had my dad's 57th birthday here on the mountain down at Camp 2 at 11,200 feet. So, I don't know.
That was a real privilege. I mean, one thing I've learned, it's not so much summiting and all that hype. It's all about the journey, the preparation, and sharing with my son this camaraderie of the mountain and the agony of defeat and sometimes the excitement of success.
Absolutely. I'd say my favorite part about it is to see where your mind goes. I mean, you're completely isolated up here. You have no telephones, no internet, and you are just sweating. You're working hard. You're in pain. You've got blisters the size of $50 on every inch of my foot right now. So you're grimacing in pain, but to see where your mind goes and what you think about and what matters most about in your life, I think that being on the mountain, that brings it out, and you're able to figure out what means the most in your life. And when you get off the mountain, trying to implement what you had thought about through all of those hard times, through the pain and the suffering, and then to ultimately come off the mountain and implement everything that your mind had visualized and thought about. That's my favorite part about it.
Well, that's a good summary. So on Denali here, I guess let's just chat about, we came in, we both trained since the beginning of the year. We did a body cleanse. Hunter trained extremely hard, and I did as well. Most of the mountains I've climbed, I've been able to kind of skate by and, just show up. This is probably the most serious I've taken the whole preparation process because of the scope and the difficulty of this peak. It's got a lot of challenges that are different than a lot of other mountains, so we've been working real hard on gear, physical preparation, and mental preparation. How about you, Hunter?
Yeah, it's been hard on my wallet, first and foremost. Being able to come up here, it's a blessing to have the opportunity to be up here, but in order to be up here, you have to make sure that you have the right gear. You have to make sure that you're physically fit. You have to make sure that everything is in place so that when you do get up here, you can make the best of the short amount of time that you do have up here. And that means spending $250 on summit mittens. That means buying down booties and new sun shirts and glacier glasses. And so, it adds up. But all of that is way worth it when we're sitting here right now looking at Camp 14 camp. We've got Foraker right here. We've got Hunter in the background right there. The head wall right here. It's definitely worth the dollars spent. Going back to the body cleanse, yeah, it's been, was it almost 5 months without a sip of alcohol? So I'm definitely looking forward to crushing this peak and getting down to base camp and cheersing for a beer. That'll be rewarding.
My excitement's just being here right now with my son and meeting some new people from around the world. Our team is a real
rock solid, yeah,
real hodgepodge of people from different countries, and I can't say enough of how interesting, intriguing it is dealing with the different cultures. I think we have one of the best guide companies on the mountain, and that's really, really important to making us safe and hopefully successful. But in my mind, we were already successful just being here and enjoying.
Yeah,
Denali.
if you're having a good time, the trip's been a success. And to reiterate what my dad had said, great team dynamics, jovial manner, everybody's laughing with each other. We caught a couple Norwegians the past couple days. We got an Italian Hollywood star. It's been a great experience.
One thing that's pretty unbelievably coincidental. I show up down at the Anchorage Waterfront Hotel, and lo and behold, you read names of the guides we're going to go up with, and there's Pablo, was our lead guide from Mountain Trips. Well, it just so happens in the year 2012, I was on a trip climbing the top high points in Ecuador with Pablo's father. It was one of his last climbs of his career. And Pablo actually came up and met us on the summit of Ecuador's highest volcano and skied off. So I had met Pablo before. It's amazing how lives up in the mountains are interwoven through time. I was amazed, and I'm sure we got some surprises ahead of us, huh?
Yeah. Well, and in addition to the interwovenness of time and generations of climbers, I'd say it's safe to say that everybody here on the mountain shares some sort of bond or a connection, even if you've never met them, you've never talked to them, you just saw them, you just met them, you instantly are almost best friends with them because you both have this shared common love for putting yourself in these types of situations where you're isolated on a mountain for 3 weeks and you want to climb the tallest point in North America. If that's not the greatest beginning of a friendship, I don't know what is. And so anybody we meet up here, they're all great. Everybody's great.
Yeah, it's been a good run so far. I'm expecting we got a lot of good things ahead of us.
What's our plan for the next couple days?
So we're at Camp 14. We're going to run up the head wall, which is behind us more or less, and then we're going to do a cache up there.
About a 2,000 foot head wall. About 1,500 feet of it is just steady climbing.
Fixed line.
And then the last 500 or 600 vert is fixed line, where we'll use our ascenders and lock into a rope. Then once we get to the top of the ridge, cache our gear, come back down. Then hopefully the next day we'll do it all again, but we'll move our entire camp. So group gear, tents, everything that we'll need, summit gear, all the way up to high camp, which is at 17,000, and that will set us up for hopefully a potential summit bid.
We'll give it our best shot, and whatever the mountain says, we will take her lead. We're just excited to be here. Thanks a lot. We appreciate Colin doing all this work, documenting the whole process, the whole expedition. Thank you, Colin. Have a great day.